tell me how you segued from the writing to the, well, both things, from writing to producing in general. But I'd also like you to comment, because I think it's really interesting. I don't know if a lot of people really deeply understand this whole concept of formats and the producing mind that understands how to identify them, what you're looking for, and what it means to import a format.
Great, that's a great question. The moment I started transitioning was during the writer's strike. I remember 2008. I'm out picketing in front of Universal, and I'm walking around. And during the next few months, the studios just sort of said, you know what, we don't even need writers. We're just going to go in our library and start pulling out properties. And they just would pull out scripts. Oh, here's Nightmare on Elm Street from the 80s. We'll just change Sony Walkman to iPod and we'll just reshoot it. And I started realizing that I had to add some other value other than being a writer at that point. And so I decided I was going to go out and start looking for properties, and that's when I went out and started looking for books. And formats are important because it gives something for the executives to latch onto, something to help them sell upwards. Because you have to realize when you're pitching to executives, most of them can't buy the project. They have to pitch it upwards in the company. So a format gives them something they can take into their boss's office and say, look, this movie, this TV show was the #1 show in Argentina for 3 years. I think it's going to work here. And you might say, well, I'm just a writer, sitting at home. How am I going to get a format? I tell you, you can get them.
Well, that's the Ugly Betty story, isn't it?
Yeah, that's. Mm-hmm.
And it's happening across, and people should understand this is an equal opportunity. It is true. It is surprising. It's kind of like the college professor. And no one calls on the college professor because they think the college professor is too busy, and the professor's just waiting for someone to please come knock on my door and ask me a question. There are imagine how many TV shows in America we go through on a seasonal basis. Many that do very, very well. The same is true in Europe. The same is true in South America. The same is true in Asia. All over the world, there's this massive amount of content. With great performance histories, pulling big shares and big audiences consistently over a multiple of seasons. And those kinds of, as you say, empirical data that you bring, saying not only does it look, is it a great storyline, a great setup, but here's how it performs. We could do this here. And that's true in scripted, or what we call scripted and unscripted, reality and dramatic programming. And it's an analogy to what you're talking about as well, essentially in what the studios were doing by recycling feature content.
Mm-hmm. And also, you have to realize in other countries, the writers, the creators have a lot more power. So often they get to keep the rights to their shows. So it's not, to them, it's not about how much money someone offers. It's the personal relationship. And you can track down. I've tracked down old shows from the UK and found the creators online and sent them an email and said, I really like your show. What's happening with it? Well, it's just, I have the rights. It's just sitting there. And you can do that. You have to believe that. And the other thing to think about is you have viewers from all over the world. If you're in Australia, if you're in South America, if you're in Hungary, look on TV and go, what show is popular here, or what show is under the radar, and go and try to get those rights and then bring them over.